Are you ready to buy your Switch 2? Of course, I already had one. They don't know that. I guess they do know that. That's interesting. Yeah, they didn't rescind the opportunity to purchase just because I had obviously been playing on and registered a Switch 2 with them. Good on you, Nintendo. Classy move. Let's light this candle. Welcome to the Andy B Show. It's this week's episode. I'm so glad you're here. I've got a very 4th of July themed energy drink in my hand. So I'm ready to go, and I hope you are. This is the Ghost America Pop energy drink, and you might be able to see it if you're watching, but if not, I'll describe it to you, which is to say it's red, white, and blue, and it's got the popsicle, those old classic red, white, and blue popsicles that are kind of bad. And this tastes kind of like it, which is to say it's refreshing and cool and also a little too sweet. And that's America for you, I think, hopefully. Super glad to have you here with us today. It's the Andy B Show. And this is getting recorded right after the 4th of July. So depending on when you hear this, it might not be summertime at all. It might be the winter time. Evergreen content is real. Maybe, maybe you're hearing this months and months from now. But for now, if you're listening to this in near real time, I want you to do a finger check. Do you still have all of the same fingers that you started with before the 4th of July? I live in a place called the South right now. I grew up here, and I went away and made the choice to come on back home to the South for family, really. And at some point, we're going to move out and go back up north where it isn't quite as hot. And one of the benefits or dangers, depending on how you view things, is that they sell fireworks down here. I grew up, they would have fireworks everywhere, fireworks stations everywhere in Louisiana, and they don't care because they assume you're not going to have a structure fire, and if it goes into the woods, it's all swamp. So it's not like you're going to have we lived in Colorado for a while, and it's like you don't dare set off a firework in Colorado. I mean, it could set the whole state on fire, really, and it really could. And that is not the case in swampland like Florida, Louisiana. You could get a structure fire. You could set a house on fire. But they go, it's not going to start a wildfire that will burn up, half the state. And that's true, but it is still really noisy on the 4th of July. For a while we'd buy small fireworks and whatnot for the kids, but they are dangerous. Sorry, I grew up, blowing off fireworks because I lived down here. And, but they are dangerous. So finger checks, I still have all the ones I came with. It's okay if you don't have the same number of fingers as me. I'm willing to accept that everybody's different. But you want to make sure that you have the same number of fingers you had before the 4th of July. That's always the check. And if you do, you're in great shape. So welcome to this episode of the Andy B Show. I've got some stories. We've got news. We've got some game talk, of course, because this is a podcast about video games. I hope that can be enough for you. It's enough for me. It's a little bit niche. We do have a little bit of movie talk towards the end. So if you want to hear about, I'm going to a lot of movies this summer. It is the summer of movies. And we'll talk about them later, but there's a little bit of movie talk towards the end. So if you're not into that, you're just here for the games. That's what I'm bringing to you first. It's kind of the summer of Switch too. And I guess the lead for me is not Microsoft layoffs. We'll talk about it. There's stuff to say. My parents bought a Switch 2. I mentioned last week that they were going to take up my limited time offer that I got from Nintendo. You had to sign up for this offer. If you remember, Nintendo was going to sell some of their own Switches direct to you. Not just calling it a Nintendo Direct when they show you the games. They're going to sell it directly to you. And normally they go all the way through their partners. But they did what I guess some luxury retail is doing. I don't buy a lot of luxury retail, but they have all these criteria that are set up. If you're a fan of Nintendo and you wanted to sign up for this special Switch 2 buying opportunity from Nintendo directly, you had to have a yearly membership of Switch Online before they made the announcement that they were going to do the event, the buying event. So you already had to be in, you already had to have 50 hours of gameplay on a Switch on your account, and you already had to own a Switch. So it was like a lot of stuff that you had to do to be eligible, and they didn't pre-announce it. So it was like you're either in or you're out. No scalpers allowed. I guess you could go turn around and scalp the one if you got an opportunity to buy. But for me, my Switch buying opportunity was walking into it was the best for me. Walking into my local Costco, the place where I just like to be, and finding like that they had like 2 Switches left. And so I grabbed one, and it was the Mario setup, the Mario pack-in, and it came with a year of individual Switch Online, which as a family Switch Online member, I couldn't use. So of course I gave it away. I gave it away to someone on Patreon, one of my patrons. Patreon.com/TheAndyBShow is what place you can go. Patreon.com/TheAndyBeeshow. The Andy B Show. You can go join for free. Patreon's free. You can be a friend of the show and give me money to help offset the cost of the show, or just encourage me to keep doing it. Nothing wrong with that. But I gave it away to any member on the Patreon, and because I couldn't use it. So I got that from Costco. I got the Switch 2 Pro controller, which everybody's saying is like this amazing, amazing Pro controller, and it is a big improvement over the first. I don't know that it's the best feeling controller, the best hand feel controller, but it is better than the PlayStation DualSense. And not to just delve into controllers, but for a second, can I say, I think the best hand feel controller is probably the Xbox controller. It's got the thumbsticks in the right position. The new one has kind of like a little grippy feel on the back. It's not the best controller. It's the best hand feel controller. Just to hold it. When you put it in your hand, you go, that's right. That feels right. The Switch 2 Pro controller is probably the next best now. The great part about that Pro controller is that it's got 2 buttons on the back, and just in a beautifully simple way, not hidden at all in the menus, you can assign those 2 Pro controllers per game, two buttons on the back side of the Pro controller per game, per profile, on your Nintendo Switch 2. So very specifically, as a dodge button in Hollow Knight, or a dash button, it's perfect for that, because it's like I need to dash, but I don't want to take my hand off, my striking. So it's a wonderful, like, hey, I need to do this action all the time, and I don't want to take my finger or thumb off the other buttons I'm using. And so it's really easy just to assign it. So that's nice. You can get Xbox controllers and PlayStation controllers that have back buttons, but the official ones, to get them with back buttons for the official ones, it is way up. Like, you got to go spend not $20 more than a regular controller, but you got to double it. You're ending up with like the PlayStation, and they have other features, but the back buttons and back paddles are part of it. The Xbox Pro controller, the PlayStation Pro controller, these are very much like double or triple the price, and they come with other features. But so this one is like a nice, hey, it's got the back buttons, really good hand feel, and it's actually less than the Joy-Cons. If you wanted another pair of Joy-Cons, you got to pay $95 in the US. I think it's 85 or 80 for the Switch 2 Pro controller. So the Pro controller costs less than the standard controllers, but it also has a lot less technology in it, which you'll find out if you pay $10 for the Nintendo welcome tour. If you take that welcome tour, you'll realize just how much they've jam-packed into those controllers. So I got one of those, and eventually Nintendo was 3 weeks later was like, hey Andy, are you ready to buy your Switch 2? Of course, I already had one. They don't know that. I guess they do know that. That's interesting. Yeah, they didn't rescind the opportunity to purchase just because I had obviously been playing on and registered a Switch 2 with them. Good on you, Nintendo. Classy move. But they sent me an email, gave me an opportunity to buy. You get 3 days to buy it. And it's like, look, if you're an unscrupulous person, you could go flip that thing on eBay. But not for very much money, because Nintendo's pumping them out. I saw a stat that reportedly there was, 4 million Nintendo Switch 2s produced for the launch, 3.5 million went to retail, 500,000. I can't verify this. This is an unverified stat. 500,000 they saved for these direct sales. So it's really classy of them to go like, hey, we're going to care about our fans. We're going to produce a ton so that, we don't end up in a 2017 Switch situation where it was triple, quadruple the cost on eBay because there just wasn't enough. So they did a good job. Trying to make sure that people could buy them. But I got my opportunity and I said, look, I'm not going to let it expire. I don't need a second one. Do I need a second Switch 2? I don't think I do. I don't need a second one. And so I said, let me ask family and friends. I started with family, and my parents immediately said, yes, we would love to have the Switch 2 immediately. And part of that's because my kids, their grandkids, go over to their house. They like to play around with it, but they also, they've been doing some gaming over the years. They bought a Wii and a Wii U before the grandkids were around. They loved the golf game and the Wii Fit game. And so it was like, but they didn't get a Switch. They really let those Wii games kind of fill the gap for a long time for, just fun Nintendo games. They loved Wii Sports. They loved the, different boxing games. My dad would play, I don't know, he probably played 2 or 3 versions of the golf game. Yeah. So, they were excited for another one. But for me, and maybe for, I'm going to say millions of people that bought a Wii Fit. I looked up the stats. I'm going to have to look it up again. How many people bought the Wii Fit? I have to look it up because it was a lot. It was a shocking amount to me. In May 2008, 690,000 units of the Wii Fit. And worldwide, overall, according to Wikipedia, 22 million copies of Wii Fit got sold. And if you do Wii Fit Plus, which was like, a second game, right? Which with a lot more options and things like that. I think maybe the Wii Fit Plus was on the Wii U. I can't remember. A total between the two of those of 43 million copies, almost 44 million copies. So there's a lot of people that really liked that balance board and playing the balance games. And they pitched it as like, hey, for anybody of any age, but also especially for, the elderly who need balance, who need to work on their steps, who need to do some exercises that are fun and entertaining. It's really great to get the Wii Fit. And so they sold just an absolute ton of them. They kind of hit every demographic, every age. And they caught my parents who didn't play a ton of games when I was growing up. My dad would play some games with me. But it wasn't like, we weren't gaming as a family all the time, But man, that Switch really made it work, or the Wii Fit, rather, the Wii. So anyway, they bought the Switch. It came in this week. And it was a, like kind of fun and surprising. So like I got something because when you order it, you get access to like buy one of every accessory. And also some amiibos. So I ended up getting an amiibo. This is Riju from Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, the second game. So she looks good. I haven't unboxed her yet. But the second game, that Tears of the Kingdom game, they've got like 4 main characters that kind of help you out with the 4 big temples that you have to go through. And she's one of them. So I haven't actually gotten to her yet in the game. I've done the Tears of the Kingdom. I think I've only done one of the 4 big dungeons. Anyway, when I was adding things to the cart for them, I was like, yeah, I guess I'll get an amiibo. I need help in that Tears of the Kingdom game. Like that, everything breaks. And when you always need more resources and meat and everything else. And so it's a little bit of a cheat. You tap the amiibo if it's a Zelda-based amiibo. If it's not a Zelda amiibo, you still get something. Like if you tap Donkey Kong as an amiibo on Tears of the Kingdom, you get like a couple of fish or bananas or Do you get banana? I should go test this out if whether you get bananas or not for tapping the Donkey Kong amiibo on Tears of the Kingdom. But if you tap the official ones, they give you gear and stuff. Like there's usually something special to unlock. Like, oh, you get a glider, pattern or something. Fine, but you definitely get weapons and resources and gears, and stuff that's like super useful. So it's always like a little bit like, okay, if I start up a session of Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, I'm going to grab all my Zelda amiibo, tap, 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 gather all that stuff up, make sure I'm geared up before I go explore and take on a shrine or something. It's fun. Yeah. So Nintendo shipped it right away. The Switch 2, my parents ended up not getting a Pro controller. They got a second set of Joy-Cons and the Joy-Con adapter that you can charge through. So that way they got 4 controllers. So you have 4-player Mario Kart. You can have 4-player Mario Party Jamboree, which I've been playing a lot of lately with my youngest. And it's easy to hook up. Super easy to hook up. For me, I'd already hooked them up. They put it in their living room this time, as opposed to like they have a second TV out in another area. And it's like something that a lot of people are excited about at that household. I added them to my Nintendo Switch Online family membership. So now they've got all the old games, all the old NES games, which my dad's excited about, and Game Boy games that, he would play some of those back in the day with me. And everybody's set and ready. It's pretty sweet. So if you are somebody that gets one of those emails, don't sell it on eBay for $100 profit. Offer it to your family and friends. Maybe they want them. I was surprised, but they jumped at the chance. So it's pretty exciting. Go parents. Okay. We can't, to just do a total shift in tone here, we're going to have to talk about it. We're going to have to, because it's, this is not a news show. I'm not breaking news on this show unless this is the only gaming content that you listen to. And if it is, thank you. I'm so glad to be a part of your gaming content life. Thank you. Let's take a look at it. This is coming to us, news broken from windowscentral.com, brought to you by Hazador Gaming 9 on Threads. Microsoft and Xbox layoffs. Candy Crush is cutting about 10% of its staff, 200 jobs. This is how it started. This is the first message that I think I saw. Other European offices, blah, blah, blah. There's the message from Phil Spencer. And it didn't seem like much. It's like, oh, Candy Crush cutting 10% of its staff, 200 jobs. It's part of like the Activision Blizzard King acquisition. Didn't really seem that bad. It's like, okay, that's fine. But then when you read like this message from Phil Spencer that got shared out or leaked, I'm not sure which, you realize it's a lot deeper than it sounded at first. I'll read a little bit of it. Today, we're sharing decisions that will impact colleagues across our organization to position gaming, that's Microsoft Gaming, for enduring success and to allow us to focus on strategic growth areas. We will end or decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. Out of respect, we're not going to talk about blah, blah, blah. Okay. Our platform, hardware, and game roadmap have never looked stronger. The success we're currently seeing is based on tough decisions we've made previously. We must make choices now for continued success. We'll protect what's thriving and deliver us experiences, blah, blah, blah. Basically, everything's great. And they're cutting. They're saying, hey, we've done this type of cutting before, the buying and the cutting. And if we don't do it, we won't be successful. So they're saying like things are wonderful. We have more players, more games, and more gaming hours than ever before. And yet they're cutting. So what are they cutting? Like, is Candy Crush like slowing down? They did the $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard King. And anytime that happens, a big company buys a small one, there's going to be redundancies in the SG&A. That's like sales, general overhead, and administrative, right? So you think like, hey, I've got an HR department. Well, Microsoft already has an HR department, and they could probably just absorb the extra employee complaints or whatever they've got going on. There's some unions tied up in these acquisitions too. So they can just absorb it. They just go, oh, well, we'll bring in, if they got like, oh, you have 200 people in HR at Activision Blizzard. Well, we got 2,000 at Microsoft, and we'll bring 20 of yours on, and then the rest can go. That's what they do. They shed those layers of overhead and get the, benefit of scale. If you had a 10-person company and one person was in HR, and then a 1,000-person company bought them, that one person in HR is probably not needed. They were super important before, but not needed now. And that's what ends up happening. They find these redundancies in the SG&A roles. And so this is not surprising. Every time they said, like, hey, every acquisition they've done, they're going to cut sales, general, and administrative, because those roles they already have. So they'll absorb some of the people, they'll cut the rest, and they'll go, now we're more efficient. But that assumes that not everything else is going to change. That assumes that people that aren't in the SG&A roles, aka the core creators of value, the developers and artists and creatives and programmers and everything else, is going to be there because that's what made them an interesting acquisition to work with anyway, right? The reason you wanted Blizzard is because you get the people who make World of Warcraft, right? Right? So what happens next? Well, next, they cut 50% of the staff at Turn 10. And I say next. This is all in one go, but the way the news came out this week was tough. So Bloomberg said Turn 10 Studios hit with layoffs. Thanks, Hazardor Gaming. Jason Schreier over on Blue Sky said many of Xbox's subsidiaries are getting hit by the layoffs this morning, including Call of Duty studios, such as Raven. Big cuts at Forza Motorsport developer Turn 10, nearly 50% of staff. So that has nothing to do with the acquisition. Turn 10 has been a Microsoft studio since the Xbox and Forza Motorsport on the Xbox, which I played. It was a fantastic game. So Forza is canceled. Maybe. We don't have all the information, right? We're figuring it out. I'm getting the news the same as you. Unless I'm your number one source on news. And then you're getting it fresh. Unlikely, but maybe. Dextero said Forza Motorsport's been canceled. According to former employees, Turn 10 Studios is expected to focus entirely on the Forza Horizon series. So if you don't know, Forza Motorsport's like the hardcore racing series, right? It was designed to be a Gran Turismo competitor, and it was. It had, I think, 7 or 8 entries. I lost count there at the end. It's close to 10, but couldn't quite make it. And incredible racing game. But then the Forza Horizon series started around, I guess it was in the 360 era. And they've had, I think, 5 of those now. And those are more like a little bit more story-based, but definitely more fun. There's always a festival you're at. You're always trying to become the champion of the festival, not just the best racer. And there's a lot of music and partying. It was just a different vibe than, the F1 movie in motorsport game form. It just wasn't that serious, and it did much better. And so Turn 10, it sounds like they're going to be turned into a studio that's going to support the actual moneymaker. Because the last Forza Horizon game came out, I even commented under this one. I said, I guess Forza Horizon really did take the mantle from Forza Motorsport. The career mode in the last Motorsport games, I said, just needed way more personality. Maybe a career mode with a storyline. And if Gran Turismo 7 is anything to go by, it could be as simple as a cozy coffee shop written story. And if you remember from Gran Turismo 7, that little coffee shop story was like nothing. It was like a nothing burger. You would go in Gran Turismo 7 to this, like when you start the career mode is you're hanging out at this little British coffee shop, and some guy hands you a weathered old book a menu of cars and races to choose from, and tells you a little bit about the history of the cars and why the race exists. And then, would you like to go race? And then you drop into this hardcore, like, now you're in Laguna Seca and you're going to try and do a hot lap and a Miata. But it was enough. I mentioned it on Threads. You could follow me there, andrew.m.b at Threads. I mentioned there that it was like, oh, that was it. They just had the thinnest slice of a story, but it was a story and there's some style that you could come back to. And people remembered it. They were like, oh my God, yeah, I haven't played Gran Turismo 7 in a couple of years, but I remember that. And Microsoft would, unless it's like voiced with characters and everything else, they won't do it. Whereas it feels like a lot of these Japanese studios are like, well, some stuff's voiced and some stuff's not. And, we're just going to kind of piecemeal it all together, and not everything's going to feel the same. Some of it's going to have a different style. There's going to be jazz for no reason. They love the jazz in these Japanese games. Mario games, especially. They love it. I don't know what it is, but they love it. And we end up loving it. We end up going like, okay, those tunes are pretty good. Microsoft can't do it. It's too serious, right? They had to make Forza Motorsport super serious, but they didn't put in a real story. And I think that's what's dropping it. Like when I went to play the last Motorsport, I played it on Game Pass. And we'll talk about Game Pass here in a second. I played it on Game Pass, and it was just, it looked great. The cars handled great. I didn't want to play it. There was nothing drawing me forward because I got great car racing on Gran Turismo. I got great car racing with story in other types of games. And there's got to be a through line. There's got to be something there to pull you through racing for 100 hours worth of hot laps. There's got to be something. And there was nothing. It was like, oh, here's your new tournament. And we created a beautiful screen. I would love for those artists to make my YouTube thumbnails, beautiful. Like, hey, don't you want to come to this championship next? But you click it, you go enter it, you do those races, and you're like, well, how about this championship? Maybe you unlocked some stuff. Maybe the bar is filled up with XP. But man, why are you doing it? You really have to love those races, that music, that style, because there's no story. People make fun of wanting stories in sports games, but we do. We want something, and it doesn't have to be much. It just has to be something more than click the next menu, I think. So, like, that is happening with the Xbox layoffs. So they lumped it in. It's not like, hey, these are redundancy. We're reducing SG&A. We're reducing the need to have these layers of management and overhead, and that's why we're doing the layoffs. They're like, no, man, we got underperforming titles. And I guess based on this output, that includes Forza Motorsport. And not every title is going to be a winner, but apparently they've cut a lot of games. A lot. They have said, reportedly, they've cut a game at Rare, who is apparently doing very well with Sea of Thieves, called Everwild. I don't even think I knew about that one. They've cut an unannounced MMO from the developers behind the Elder Scrolls Online. This is coming to us from IGN. It's kind of like a recap here. They've cut the Perfect Dark reboot. That looked like a big game for them. And it's Rare. So the two huge Rare games. The Initiative developer was the one doing the Rare Perfect Dark reboot. And they closed that whole developer down. The team working on Warcraft Rumble was laid off. And they shot a Romero game. John Romero. They were making a game apparently that was funded by Microsoft. And they were making a new shooter. We didn't even know about it. I didn't know about it. And it's toast. So they've had to come up here and say, like, look, we've cut widely and deeply, so much so that they've had to make a statement that says every game that we showed at the recent showcase is safe, because they just showed a ton. I recently talked about a bunch of them here on the show. Clockwork Revolution, which I don't know. I can't remember if that's actually a Microsoft game. The new one from Obsidian, the new Outer Worlds 2. I was going to say Outer Wilds 2. I don't know if they're making another Outer Wilds, but they're making another Outer Worlds. They're saying, hey, it's all safe. And it's like, okay, well, maybe it's safe. But there's a clock ticking on every one of these games. And if they don't ship, it's toast. Playground Games is also making the new Fable. So they're going to take Turn 10 Studios, and they said they're going to help, who knows how it's actually going to shake up. But it's like you could see a future in which Turn 10 is just making the car tech for the Playground Games to make Forza Horizon. But a bunch of that Forza Horizon studio, Playground Games, has been working on Fable, which also hasn't shipped. So if you can ship, often you're doing okay over there. Like Obsidian has shipped, or will have shipped by the end of this year, 3 games. They did Avowed. They're supposed to be doing the second, what is the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids plant game? I can't remember what it is. You shrink the kids down, they go build and forage in the lawn. Can't remember the name of it. And the new Outer Worlds 2. So they're shipping, they're doing okay. But if you're not shipping, man, they're cutting over there. And look, if you're responsible for those budgets, and they've said, folks have said gaming budgets are increasing and ballooning. Nintendo just said today that they want to look for ways to ship more often with lower cost instead of doing the bigger games. Why? Well, you want to get the value out there early. It's the reason why some games are doing early access, right? Like, let me get my game out so the money can come in so I can offset these costs so I can build more. So it's business. It's a cash flow problem. And it's a big cash flow problem if you've got games that are, working on budgets for 5 or 6 years, and you look at the game and you go, I don't know if this is going to be good. Let's cut it. And so they're cutting big and deep and wide over there at Microsoft. So heart goes out to anybody that lost their role at Microsoft. Like, that is terrible. It's not easy. And as gamers, it's like, well, you might have been looking forward to a lot of those games, and I hope the ones you're looking forward to still come out. But there's nothing you can do. What can you do? You can buy and play the games that you want to buy. I think where it's gotten a little bit muddy is that, they go, hey, our gameplay hours are up, our subscribers are up, there's tons of games in the pipeline. If you're a fan, should you be doing anything? Like, what can you do or should you do? So my advice to you is, it's not your job to figure it out. You might go like, well, maybe I should buy Xbox games instead of subscribing to Game Pass, or maybe I should subscribe to Game Pass if I don't. Maybe that would be better. And the reality is nothing has any of this to do with you. To take you back a little bit, there was a time when we gave a rip about something called HD DVDs. And Microsoft specifically, if you'll recall, on the Xbox 360, sold an HD DVD add-on. So you could watch HD DVDs. And PlayStation built in a Blu-ray player into their PlayStation 3. And so you suddenly had a format war on top of video game and studio wars. And so if you were into movies, you might have been I was in the forums. I was in the forum wars for format wars for HD DVDs and Blu-ray. And I didn't have a PlayStation 3 at the time, and I wanted great looking movies. And so I bought the HD DVD player for the Xbox 360, bought a couple of movies, bought King Kong, Peter Jackson's King Kong, an HD DVD, the Bourne something, whatever the Bourne movie was that came out. I can't remember what it was. I bought it. They looked great. They sounded great. I think HD DVD at the time was like a better format, more fully featured. It was great. I bought a bunch of those, and there were people online that are like, okay, all right, everybody, here's the new list of HD DVDs coming out this week. Everybody go buy them so that they'll win the format war for these huge companies. So they'll keep making it in the format that we want to buy it in. I know it sounds insane for me to describe it today. It's not that much different, though, than console warring, right? Where it's like, well, I should buy the games for the publisher or the console I care about, so they'll keep making it. But you are one tiny speck Like, did I tell you earlier that they sold 44 million Wii Fits and they haven't made one in the better part of a decade? So there's nothing you can do. You can buy all you want. The company's going to decide what to do on their own based on the feedback and the signals that they see. So you really can't do anything about it. And you shouldn't feel bad when they close studios, when they shut down games. It's not your fault. And there's nothing you could or should do to worry about it. So that's my like something useful segment of the week, like snipped in here with the Microsoft layoffs, is none of this is your fault. And if you got laid off, it's also not your fault. They're making broad stroke decisions. Cut like 9,000 people. Like good people got caught up in that. And good games probably got caught up in that. And maybe some ones that, some games that needed to get cut. Right. And if they're taking a lot of bets, especially big swing bets, big budgets, they're going to have ones that don't work out. And so it's good for them to cut their losses and move on. But, you don't want to be part of an experiment. I don't want to be part of an experiment, but some people have a different risk profile than I do. Some people want to be like, yeah, man, I want to try that risky thing and I don't care. Like, I don't care if I lose my job over it. Like, I want to try the risk. There's people that do startups and run their own businesses, and they just have a different risk profile than other people. They do not mind if they fail, or they're willing to fail because the upside would be, hey, we did something unique that we never would have done otherwise. We need people of every kind. We need people that will, stamp the files, and we need people that will, go cut the underbrush and discover something new. We need both. So, yeah, but it's not for you to fix. It's not for you to figure out whether or not Game Pass is where you should be spending your money or buying games. You can't fix it. Microsoft is making big decisions. You are a tiny part of their calculus as a player. Just buy the games you want or subscribe to the services you want, and it's going to work out or not. Do not buy games that you do not care about, or subscribe to services you don't care about. And don't buy HD DVDs that you don't like to support a format at $35 a pop. Couldn't be me again. Couldn't be me having bought movies that I didn't care about because I got pulled into the hype like 20 years ago on an internet forum. You got better things to spend your money on. I promise. Okay. That's enough like bad news. Let's talk about some good news. Reinforcements are coming. Helldivers 2 is coming to Xbox. So assuming you didn't throw your Xbox out the window at that last announcement of all those Microsoft layoffs, you can buy a new Helldivers 2 on August 26th. It's coming. And I think it's the same day that the new remake of Gears of War is coming out on the PlayStation. That's pretty cool. We've got some cross-platform games. This is going to be cross-platform. They say, I think it's, let me see. I have to scroll down. Do they even say it? Cross-platform, cross-play on all platforms. So the PlayStation people, the Xbox people, the PC people are all going to get to play together on Helldivers. That's good news for everybody. Honestly. Yeah. If you haven't played Helldivers 2, it's a trip. It's worth the $40. Absolutely. One of the best things they do is they make all the in-game currency earnable. So you can buy all of the little battle passes, which don't expire, with in-game currency that you can earn by playing the game. You can't beat that. Like they have a really good setup over there. Helldivers 2, well worth it. I don't want to talk about Nintendo price increases. I thought I did, but I don't. If you live in Canada, your Nintendo Switch Online price is going up. That's all I want to say about it. I think they're moving it from 99 Canadian moon bucks to like 109. So I don't know there's so much going on with the US trade policy. Like I can't even tell what it means anymore. Like it's moving too fast. All I know, it's back to the advice I gave you a few minutes ago. If it's worth it for you personally and your enjoyment, your situation, then buy the gamer service. And if it's not, just please move on. Like, don't worry about it. You have to make your own choice. Don't let these companies decide what's right for you. Two more pieces of news. We'll take a quick break. Donkey Kong Bonanza, I theorized, was actually, I didn't theorize it. Someone said it to me, and I said, that sounds right. It looks right. Game Informer confirms it. Nintendo confirmed it to Game Informer. The Super Mario Odyssey team is behind Donkey Kong Bonanza. This is great news if you loved Super Mario Odyssey, because you know you're going to get a banger of a game. It comes out in less than 2 weeks. I'm absolutely buying this game. It's bad news if you were hoping for a Super Mario game, a Super Mario Odyssey game, because it means that's what they've been working on for like 5 years, 6 years. Kind of a good news, bad news situation. But it really means that if you wanted a really, really great Nintendo game, it's coming. It already looked good, but it's coming. Last bit of news here. Speaking of like game preservation and gaming interest, is it finally time to play Anthem? Coming to us from Wario64EA.com says Anthem servers are shutting down January 12th, 2026, after which time the game will no longer be playable. So if you don't know what Anthem is, it is a Tony Stark simulator where you climb into this big, beautiful, like different and varied suit. I don't have any gameplay hanging around here to show you, but basically you climb into like the Iron Man suit and then you go on missions. And it was like a Destiny-esque game. You know, you had like a home base, you'd go out on missions, but it didn't do well. They revamped it a few years ago and like made a huge final update to make all the combat better and the progression better. But you know, that I guess it cost them money to run it because they're going to shut it down. And not enough people are buying it. And so I don't even think you can buy it right now. I tried, maybe you can buy a disc copy somewhere for $1. But online, like I couldn't find a way to download it unless you subscribe to EA Play. Maybe there's a way to get to it that's easier. I didn't work too hard, but actually I never did play Anthem. And now that it's going to go away, I kind of want to play it. So if you love Anthem, now's the time. Get it out of your system because they're about to get it off the internet and it's going to be a dead game at that point. It's going to be a game that nobody will be able to play. They're not open sourcing it. They're not allowing you to modify it. This is really sad. So I saw that there was a Stop Killing Games survey or petition that went out. That was like got 1 million signatures in the EU. They're trying to make it in law over there. It's like, if you make a game, then you have to put in the work to make it, work over time. I don't know how you force a company to do that. Maybe the EU can get it done. I don't know. But it is sad. If you liked that game, you're probably not playing it. But I think everybody wants to think that they could go back and play it someday. Gabe Newell from memory, so it might not be super accurate, has said about Steam, his online PC shop, the most popular PC, marketplace in the world for games. I said like, okay, well, if we ever shut down Valve, who runs Steam, at some point, we'll just make it to where you don't have to authenticate to our servers anymore. You could download the games all one last time. And when we pull the plug, you'll have what you have. And that'll be it. So they've like written into their company intent, maybe their bylaws, to say like, if we ever shut down as a company, we're going to give you a chance to have everything and we're going to disconnect it from looking at licensing. And you'll just have what you have and you'll be able to play it. And so it's very consumer forward to go like, okay, at least I'll own everything, or I'll own my ability to use the thing I bought licenses for. And that would be good. Be super good. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we got what you've been playing. I'll tell you about all the games that have been on my deck for this week. We're going to talk about movies, some disappointing ones, some good to great movies. Got a little bit on Community Spotlight, and we'll wrap it up and we're out of here. So hold on. There's more Andy B's show to come. See you in a bit. So here's some things I've been playing. There's games going on. There's a lot of games. I'm not playing Death Stranding 2, if you were wondering. I've been talking about Death Stranding 2 a lot, but I don't want to keep myself from playing the first Death Stranding. I logged back into it last night and took a look around. I can't remember where I was. I'm still pretty early on in the game. I don't know, chapter 3, something like that. It's pretty early. there's something about the vibe and interpretation and all the online community makes me feel I'm way further in this game. I'm not. I'm like a dozen hours in or something like that. But it's on my second playthrough. I had lost my first save for some reason, and so it feels like I played it a lot longer than I have. But I logged in. I'm still pretty early on. But I've got a car now or a little tricycle, and I popped up in the map. I haven't played it since March was the last time I made a save file update. So I went to log in and play, and I'm like, how do I Death Stranding again? Like, how do I map? The map has so much going on. You can plot your routes. There's so many missions going on. I'm carrying so much stuff. It felt like Skyrim. You know, when you log into Skyrim and you're like, where was I? Okay. This is my 19th playthrough of Skyrim. I started out as a paladin. I've somehow ended up as a stealth archer again. I got 14,000 quests open. I'm in a dungeon that I don't remember which way I was. How do I get out of here? Like starting in Skyrim again is like waking up in Quantum Break. Remember that show Quantum Break? Was it Quantum Break? Where the guy would wake up in someone else's body in a situation that needed his help. So he would travel across space and time, and he would end up in these situations where he didn't know who he was, where he was, what he looked like, what situation he was in. And it was always the opening of the show that he would find himself in some very dramatic situation that he was going to really have to spend the whole episode to figure out. And that is like logging into a mid-save Skyrim playthrough, or even in Death Stranding. It's like, where was I? Who am I? What is going on here? So I've been playing some Death Stranding. I don't want to rush it. I'm going to buy the second one. I've been enjoying watching everybody's playthroughs, and I don't mind spoilers. If you followed me for a while, you know the mantra on spoilers. I can't wait to see how that happens. If you encounter a spoiler on Death Stranding 2 or anywhere else, just say to yourself, I can't wait to see how that happens until you feel better. Because then you can't wait to see how it happens, right? So it's good to not worry about it. It's good to be okay with talking about it with your friends and family and your online buddies about what's going on in the story and just kind of not give a rip. It's a freedom you haven't experienced. If you're still worried about spoilers, you can't wait to see how it happens. Don't worry about it. I'll try not to spoil stuff for you here on the show on purpose. That's never my goal. I don't want to hurt somebody's experience. Maybe you haven't said the mantra enough, and until you do, you would get hurt by that. So would never be my goal. Wouldn't try and do that to you. But I also don't worry about them. Like, it's fine. Somebody tells me how Death Stranding 2 ends. My first response, I can't wait to see how that happens, especially in Death Stranding 2, because the way it happens is going to be nuts. And so I want to finish the first Death Stranding before I move on to 2. I'll get there when I get there. And for people like me who game just a little bit behind the curve, a lot of times, you know, most of the game purchases I buy are just a little behind the curve. Though I've said I'm buying some day one, right? I'm going to buy Donkey Kong Bonanza day one. That's probably the only day one game purchase I can think of at the moment. But when you play just a little behind the curve, you know, you save 20, 30%, 40% on some of these games, makes them super affordable. What's another game I've been playing? I've been playing, speaking of gaming behind the curve, I've been playing Jouissance. Jouissance, which apparently is a French word for climb. Just came out on PlayStation Plus with this month's games. This month's PlayStation Plus setup was total banger. If you hadn't played Diablo 4 is free with it right now. King of Fighters, like 95, I don't know, 15, 13. One of the new King of Fighters games is free on there. And then Jouissance. Jouissance I had played either like the opening 2 on Game Pass last year, or maybe there was a demo. But it is just a really blue sky, beautiful climbing game. You're climbing this tower, discovering these like ancient communities that are like apparently like the water rises and sets quite a bit. So there's these fishing communities that live somehow miles up into the tower. Like, does the water come up and go down that far? But it's very meditative. Like, and it is a hardcore climbing game in that each trigger is your left or right hand, and you're going to go hand over hand to climb. You don't control the feet, just the hands. I assume you'll upgrade gear at some point. This trailer that I'm showing right now shows magical things happening. I don't know if there's magic involved. Maybe there is. But the actual climbing is like using ropes and checkpoints and hand strength and grip strength, managing those meters. So it's not the most technical climbing game I've ever seen, but it is pretty good. Like it's like, okay, you feel like you're working for it and you get into this meditative state climbing, not only because it's beautiful, because the music is very like low key, but it looks really, really nice. So it came out a couple of years ago, but it's just now free on PlayStation Plus. I would recommend checking it out. I don't know, an hour in. I'm going to keep playing it. I guess it's a short game too, which I'm excited about because I like beating games, but rarely do. Usually I'm on to the next thing. And for a game, for me to see credits roll on a game is kind of a big deal. I don't think you can roll credits on the next game I've been playing. I don't think it's possible. Maybe it is. It's Super Mario Jamboree, Super Mario Party Jamboree, which they're about to release an upgrade pack for on sometime this July, I guess, is an upgrade pack coming out. Maybe it'll show it in this video I'm playing. But we got this. I got this for my youngest daughter a couple months ago, and then when she saw it on the Switch, she was like, "No, Dad, no! Like, wait, I want it for my birthday." And so we just kind of hid it, and then re-downloaded it onto the new Switch. We started playing. She had a birthday recently, and it's my first Mario Party since I think the GameCube, because I love myself, and Mario Party is the kind of thing that could cause all kinds of strife internally, externally. It's been a long time since I've had a Mario game that kind of respected your time. This one respects your time in an interesting way. So my daughter is playing it on her save, but when I log in, I attach like my account to my play time. So my character is me, and it gives me the points, the moonbucks or whatever you get from doing any activity. So that I can unlock things on my save. So it gives it to me and to her. So anybody that's playing on the Switch, you get like progress, whatever the progress is in the game, the meta progress where you unlock new emojis. I don't know, but I feel like there should be like different characters and different outfits, but I haven't seen that yet. And there's so many ways to just go, hey, you just want to play the mini games? Go for it. Hey, you just want to play the mini games in 2 versus 2 mode? Go for it. Hey, you want to play these dance mini games or these mini games that look like they're like some type of a not a music mini game, but they kind of remind me of the ones from Snipper Clips, where you take 2 people and you're using motion controls to try and solve a puzzle. So it's not Snipper Clips, but it feels like Snipper Clips, basically. So they have a lot of different modes in here to go like, hey, are my kids playing by themselves? Do they want to play with 2 people? What about 4 people? How long are we playing for? And it tells you, if you play a classic version of Mario Party, you're playing the board game version, it goes, how many turns do you want to do? The minimum amount of turns is a 90-minute game. So when I say it respects your time, what I mean is they give you other options besides that one. And where it disrespects your time is if you get halfway through a game and you don't finish it, I don't think you get anything. I don't think you get the moonbucks or whatever. I don't think you can just go call it like, here's the person that was in first place. You just kind of have to quit. So they're aware enough to say, here's how long it's going to take for you to play this game. It's going to take you 90 minutes to do 10 turns of Mario Party. So they know, and yet they still don't have a way to like gracefully leave. You just kind of go, well, you're out. But they have boss modes. They have a lot of stuff. So like, if you're somebody who likes Nintendo party games with a lot of stuff, that's one for you. It's pretty good. We've been enjoying it. We sure have. We've been enjoying it. Something else I've been playing, I guess it came out earlier this year, not sure exactly when, is Soulstone Survivors. If you haven't played Soulstone Survivors, it's a lot like Vampire Survivors. It's a lot like that. It's a one-hand kind of game. You can have a 4th of July themed drink in one hand. Play the game with the thumbstick in the other hand. So it's one of those. It's voiced. I'm not playing the music and the voice on the show, but you can go to my, you can go to anywhere and search for gameplay on this. It's got cool music. It's like weird, ethereal, like club music. It's got like this driving, it's like a soundtrack to it, which I did not expect at first. And it's fully voiced. So it's got like a story. You know, we talked earlier about Forza Motorsport not having nearly enough of a story. Vampire Survivors didn't need much story to get you really excited about it and go like, I gotta figure out what's going on in this game. It's not just the gameplay. There's something else you gotta, some mystery you gotta solve. They had hidden secrets everywhere. So with this one, like it's fully voiced. All of the characters are voiced. Your character, when he levels up and he fights the bad guys, like he's talking mess to them. He's saying these, I have a barbarian king or something like that. And he's like, I don't know. He's saying some Way of Kings type stuff in here as he's fighting. But it starts out with you like having, in the demo, you are super powered up and then they strip you of all of that classic, new games style. And they start you off with this really slow moving, like, hey, you got to go collect all the gems. But it's not long before you're collecting a few gems. You're super leveled up. There's meta leveling. It's $15 on PlayStation. Probably a pretty good podcast game. Though there's so much vocals to it that it's like, I'm not sure if it's a great podcast game. I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. Might get it. It's definitely something where I could go, oh, let me ignore finishing Death Stranding for one more hour while I play another level of another Survivors style, game. But it's good. Yeah, if you've played this one, let me know. Okay. That's a lot of games. Guess what? I've also been playing more Picross, Genesis and Master System Picross. So there's always more of those. And I've been playing them. It's a lot of show. We've been going for like an hour and I don't want to overstay my welcome with you. So I will save some of this movie talk for the next podcast. But I just want to say, if you're out there and you're like, I really want to go see Jurassic Park, you better be sure, like really sure, that you want to go see Jurassic Park. It was bad, but there was a new 90-second teaser trailer for the new Christopher Nolan movie, The Odyssey. I did not expect it. Did not know it was going to be in previews. And I'm not going to say that was worth my ticket price, but it was the best part of the movie. Was the preview for another movie. There's been some winners. There's been some winners in movies this summer. I've really liked, for the kids, they loved seeing, it barely counts for the summer, but they loved Minecraft. That was fun in the theaters. Lilo and Stitch was fun. I thought it was great. If you loved that original movie, I think they did a good job with the new one. Again, 2 remakes of old animated movies. How to Train Your Dragon was also great. Like it hit. It was really great. Talked about it a week or 2 ago. For the adults, like my kids are a little bit younger, so like I don't take them to the next few I'm going to mention, but I really liked Ballerina, that John Wick spinoff movie was great. John Wick was in it a little bit, but Ana de Armas was great. The action was right. Like they did not mess around and they figured out a way to make it within the world of John Wick, very realistic for this smaller woman to beat up these big dudes. And like, it was never a one-on-one strength fight. It was like they positioned it as, agility versus raw strength when they would get into these deep fight scenes. It was really good. And intuition. Mission Impossible was great. I thought there's a little divisive. Some people are like, okay, we've had enough Mission Impossible. It's like the 9th one or whatever. I think it's the 8th one. I thought it was good. And F1, I saw F1 this week. It's again, a lot of movies this week, a lot of movies this summer. I thought it was good. My friend who was really into F1, like really into it, like he watches it every time there's a race. He was like, it was okay. I said, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I said, well, what could have made it better for you? He was like, well, it was good. He was like, it's just basically a sports movie with F1 in it. And I was like, what did you think we were going to go see? Like, I think that's what it is. It's a sports movie with F1 instead of like baseball or basketball. And I'm looking forward to Superman. Superman's this upcoming week. Definitely going to see that. I'm hoping it's one I could take the kids to because it's James Gunn, which tells me no. But it's Superman based on kind of like the All-Star Superman comics, which tells me maybe. So we'll see. Yeah. Mhm, mhm. Okay, there's so much more I'm not going to get to today. I could just tell, like, this is a lot of show. I'm gonna have to save some of it, I think, for another show. I had too much. It's too much show. A couple of things I want to call out. I did put, kind of out in the community, out in the patreon.com/ the Andy B show, ANDYBEE, the Andy B show. I put out a post out there yesterday showing what people are showing on their Nintendo Switch home screens. And it has just been a wonderful thread. It got like 25,000 views, which for me is pretty viral. I have some of them go to a couple 100K, but it's important in this case because I was asking for people to share their Nintendo Switch home screen so you could see what they're playing, and it's laid out so nicely on the Nintendo Switch screen. So you can go to the Patreon and see the latest post on that, or share with me what you're playing on your Nintendo Switch home screen, or your PlayStation screen, or your Xbox screen. Somebody said Xbox does this. I think there's something special about the way Nintendo does it, but you're right. They all do it a little bit. So it's just easier to see the big, huge logos on the Nintendo home screens. Also, want to say special thank you, community shout out to The Mess. The Mess, I know you're out there. I know you're listening. He's our Spotlight member on the Patreon. He gave me some really nice feedback this week about what he likes about the show, and hasn't told me yet what he doesn't like. So maybe he'll tell me what he doesn't like at some point. But he joined the Patreon as a free member and is now a friend of the show. So thank you. Appreciate you listening and your support. If you want to support the show, whoever you are out there listening, go to patreon.com/ the Andy B show and support me there, free or a friend of the show member tier. Either one's great. But I will be recording an exclusive episode for Patreon this week. Sign up to get notified when it drops. You will need to be a friend of the show tier to access it. But I followed this really great account on Threads called the Podcasting Business School. And this is not a business for me. This is like a hobby that I do. I'm interested in like making it big, and I think it's good. I put a lot of my life energy into making this exciting and fun, so I want more people to see it. So, but I'm not trying to like monetize everybody or get rich off of this. It's a hobby for fun that I want to share with you. But they say on Podcasting Business School, it's like, oh, you need to record a couple episodes in advance, and this is a weekly show though. And I talk about what I'm playing this week and the news from this week. So how am I supposed to do a weekly show weeks in advance? Isn't it going to feel older or stale? And the answer is I don't know. And when I go listen to some of my favorite like gaming podcasters and they're talking about what they're playing right now, but I'm behind on their show, so I'm listening to it from like, April, it still hits. It's great. So I know that it's a little more evergreen. But what I've decided to do is I'm going to record some special episodes. I'm going to put them up on the Patreon just for friend of the show, paid member subscribers, as a benefit to them. And I've got some content lined up for it. So it's the first thing we're going to be showcasing is there's so much going on with like console buying frenzy, and so I've got these great stories that I would love to share with you about what it was like buying each console I've bought. Where did I get it from? What was the situation? Maybe not everyone in the world, but it's so fun. I go back and think about these stories, and I've told them over and over in my personal life to people. But when we've swapped stories about finding a hard-to-find console, but I'm going to share with you. So in the off chance, thank you, Podcasting Business School on Threads, that I get sick and lose my voice. And, like that will happen. Every couple of years, I'll get sick enough, lose my voice. Something will happen and I can't record a show for a weekly podcast, or I could, but I'll be sounding like RFK, and you don't want to hear the voice if it's really bad, right? So the voice is important. And so it'll give me a little bit of a content buffer if I ever have to take a week off because of illness, right? So I'm pretty good about scheduling and keeping things on time. I'm not worried about that so much, but I might be physically unable to record one for a week or two. And so those might turn out to get like released as special episodes so that everybody that's listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube will have something hitting them that week from the Andy B show. But if I don't get sick for years and years, like maybe I'll do something else for that. And these will just be exclusive Patreon episodes. So the first one's going to be coming in the next week. So feel free to, and I'll put the video version of it up and the audio version of it up. So you'll be able to see either one. But it'll be exclusive to the Patreon. So that's coming. Feel free to sign up there. And yeah, we kind of did, like, we did a huge episode this week. This is like a XL episode, well over an hour. And yeah, I had to cut some stuff because I don't want to talk about how bad Jurassic World Rebirth was, or whatever the heck it's called. It was bad. But I could have talked more about that. I would like to have shown you some more Nintendo home screens and what I think about them. There's some other things. So we'll figure it out. It'll be new content for the next episode, or maybe I'll put it into the Patreon exclusive episodes, where it's a little more evergreen. So yeah, we talked about it. My parents bought a Switch too. I can't wait to do game chat with them and beat them in Mario Kart from my house. We live like a mile away from each other. Microsoft laid off a ton of people. It was bad. But it turns out if you ship over at Microsoft, maybe you're okay. And if you are a long timeline, but don't bother yourself with it. It's not for you as the gamer, as the individual consumer. You buy what you want. You wish those folks well. Microsoft's going to make their own decisions, and it's not on you to fix it. So don't ever take that guilt on. Helldivers 2 is coming to Xbox. Buy it and play with me. Like I'll boot up Helldivers 2 again. Donkey Kong Bonanza is coming out, and it is made by the Mario Odyssey devs. And you should maybe play Anthem if you want to before you can't. Talked about what I've been playing: Jusant, Mario Party Jamboree, Soulstone Survivors demo, Death Stranding again, and of course Picross, and some movie talk. And a thank you to the Mess this week, our Spotlight member on the Patreon. Appreciate you. And then who knows what's coming up next week? Like, we're going to have that exclusive episode, but man, am I going to beat Death Stranding? Am I going to be just doing more Picross puzzles? I really think I'm going to get back into Death Stranding pretty good. Like, I'm feeling good about it. Plugged back in. Game's ready to go. Can't wait to see you wherever you might be. Thank you for listening to the Andy B Show. I hope you have a wonderful time until I see you again. Enjoy some gaming. Bye.